Hi guys, John Carver, Juliana's dad. I thought I would make a video, kind of go through more of Juliana's story, her life story, and the treatments that she has had as she fought cancer 8 times. And then in between that information, share many of her quotes I've collected over the years. I have about, I can tell you exactly here, 6 pages of quotes that Julie has made over the years that I'd like to share many of them with you and kind of, if I can, share some of the context behind some of those quotes. Juliana is our sixth of seventh children that we adopted. Juliana was born in Belarus, which is near Poland, on December 4th, 2001. I'm reading from my notes, so if you'll forgive my looking down, I'd appreciate it. She was placed in a baby house, they call that a baby house, in Eastern Europe in April of 2001. I shared in a post some time back the backstory of why Juliana and her half-sister Christina ended up in an orphanage. I'm not going to get into that here in this particular video. We adopted Juliana in August of 2003. Now, let me give you a quick backstory on that. The year before, we were done adopting children. We already had 4 children from Russia at the time. And I had this hunch to hold a meeting at a hotel for other families that may be interested in adopting. So I contacted our adoption attorney, Ron Stoddard, told him I did a lot of advertising and marketing for this this meeting, invited lots and lots and lots of people, and only about 8 people showed up in a banquet room size. I mean, I really went out, really wanted to help other kids get adopted, and only 8 people showed up, and nobody adopted. Nobody followed through on adopting children. So obviously it was a big disappointment to all of us, my family. So Ron Stoddard, the adoption attorney, brought his photo album of children that his agency, Nightlight Christian Adoptions, had to place that was adoptable, if that's a word. And we're going through the album, and make a longer story short, there's a little girl in that album with crossed eyes. Our son Tim, by the way, had crossed eyes. And we kept coming back to that page with Juliana's picture on it. Her name was Irina at the time, or Ira, as they called her in Belarus. So we kept coming back to that picture, and then I started to cry. As you all know me long enough now, if you've followed this page, you know that I'm a crybaby. So I started to cry. I walked out of the hotel room. I didn't understand why I was crying. Longer story short, we ended up flying to Belarus in, get the date, in August of 2003. That's when we found out that Christina was in another orphanage. So while we were over there, we drove over there and met Christina for the first time. And thanks to some very kind people, we went back and adopted Christina as well. In September of 2003, Juliana was diagnosed with strabismus, which is crossed eyes, which we knew that when we adopted her. So we had surgery in December of 2003 for her to straighten those eyes. That was an interesting ordeal. She was pulling out the IVs. She was only a tiny, tiny little tot, just barely, 2 years old at the time or so. So that went well. She eventually started wearing glasses as a result of that. Now, between December 2003 and forward to February of 2007, she was just a regular little girl, very spunky, liked to climb, liked to laugh, liked to play, very choleric, very outgoing, very happy, always positive. And then she came downstairs one day and told her mom that she had some bumps under her arms. And Tammy, being very, very knowledgeable in science, knew that that was a lymph node issue. She didn't know if Juliana was sick or whatever, but she didn't act sick. So we took her to the doctors, and doctor was concerned, had some scans done, and we found out in February of 2007 that Juliana was diagnosed with what's called alveolar rhabdomyosarcoma. It was stage 3, group 3, and the cancer was in her right forearm. So between February 2007 and January 2008, again, I'm reading from my notes. Thankfully, Tammy printed these out for me a few years ago. Between 2007 and January 2008, Juliana received 14 rounds of chemo, which included several different types, and also radiation that she received. She received between April and May of 2007, received 28 radiation treatments to her right forearm and her armpit. And the radiation burns were horrific. Horrific. It was bad. Juliana never complained. So she came through cancer fine. She got better, got her hair back. The hair came back darker than her original hair, thicker, and she was doing pretty well. And then we noticed her right thigh started to swell up. So we took her to the doctor and had a scan done, and we found out that the cancer was back for the second time. This was in March of 2011. And so this time it was in her right leg and back in her lymph nodes again. And Juliana, I found out a long time later that she had a conversation with her brother, Tim. And she said, "Why does this have to happen to me?" Again, I'm reading from my notes. "Why does this have to happen to me? At least I know what I have to do." This was in March of 2011. This is what Juliana said to Tim. She also said, not necessarily at the same time, but she said, "I cried for a few moments and said, at least I know what I have to do to get rid of it again." As a little girl with that kind of tenacity and that kind of courage to realize that she was focused enough to try to get better. So between March 2011 and January 2012, she received 12 rounds of chemo and received another 25 radiation treatments to her right thigh and lymph nodes as well, to try to get that tumor gone. So again, this went through January or February of 2012. And she said at the end of January of 2012, actually on January 30th, she said, if the cancer, if it does come back again, I'll have to fight it off again. If it comes back again, I'll have to fight it off again. This is the courage of my little girl, our little girl. So she got through that. And in June of 2012, we're talking just a few months after she was diagnosed clear of cancer, declared free of cancer. In early 2012, we found out that the cancer came back again. This is now June of 2012. And at that point, it was pretty bad. It was again, I'm reading from my notes, so forgive me again for looking down. But it was pretty bad. So I remember that sorry. I remember at that time, I wasn't sure if she was going to make it that time for sure. I said, if there were 3 things that you'd like to have, what would those 3 things be? She thought about it. She said, not to have cancer. I said, we're working on that. She said $1 billion with a B. She shared that story later on, but she said $1 million in the story, but I remember it was a billion. So not to be sick, $1 billion. And then there was a short pause, and she said a puppy.
Hi everyone, I just want to tell you the story of how I met Maddie. So one day when I was in the hospital getting chemo, my dad asked, what are the 3 things you would like? I said 1, $1 million, 2, to never have cancer again, and 3, a puppy. So he said, okay. And then they looked online at the SPCA, and we were calling, and they said, we told them that we were looking for Shih Tzu puppy, and they said, okay. And they wanted to call us back if they found anything. And a few days later they said, we found a little baby Shih Tzu puppy. So we came on in after I got out of the hospital the next day. And then we saw her. She was all matted up. And her original name was Mattie, but I changed it to Maddie. And that's the story of when I found Maddie. Or we got Maddie.
How could I say no? I mean, the chances that she was going to make it back then didn't look very good. So a couple weeks later, we went and got Juliana a puppy. I remember the day we went and got her, the dog Maddie. She was tied up to a pump. She had a backpack with a pump pumping medicine into her. And when we got to the SPCA up in York, Pennsylvania, Tammy disconnected the pump for her to go in and not to be tied up to the pump to be able to meet her new doggie. So between June 2012 and May 2013, she received another 12 rounds of chemo and an additional 50 radiation treatments. Again, it was severe. It was pretty bad. In June, on June 18th, I remember I was in my bedroom and she crawled up on my lap and she started to cry. She said, "Daddy, I don't want to be sick anymore." And as a daddy, you want to protect your kids. You want to keep them safe. And then a couple weeks later, I was at the hospital seeing her, as I went a lot to see her, obviously. On June 21st, 2012, she says, "I want to be home, but I'm here in the hospital. I want to be home, but I'm here in the hospital." She hated being in the hospital, which I can't blame her. She's a little girl. In June, late June, Believe in Tomorrow invited us to go to Ocean City, Maryland. And on one of those moments when I was talking to her, we were on the bumper cars. And she said, I don't know who it was in front of her. I don't know if it was Tim or Rebecca or whoever, but she yelled out, "Move it or get bumped." I mean, she's the type of girl that was very driven, very type A, very choleric, that she really wanted to be a winner in every sense of the word. So now we're up to June 30th, 2012. On July 3rd, I brought Tim up to the hospital to visit with Julie. And Julie hugged me and she said, "Daddy, please don't go." And as a dad, it's kind of hard. In fact, it's really hard that you can't make your child better. Again, we're in July of 2012 at this part of the story. She said on July 5th, she says, "Daddy, I just want to go home." And she's fighting cancer now. July 2012, she's fighting cancer now for the 3rd time as a little girl. On July 26, 2012, she was working on a puzzle in the morning to keep busy. I'm, again, reading from my notes. When she first saw me and started to cry. She said, Daddy, I missed you so much because I had 5 other kids I have to try to take care of and try to bring some income in to pay some bills, obviously. And then later that month, this is now late July 2012, she was, we were again back at the beach, thankfully, due to some very kind people. And she said, waves are my friends. She loves, 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 loves the beach. She really, really enjoys the beach quite a bit. On August 23rd, 2012, she made a little recording for all of her fans at the time. Let me just read to you her words. Quote, Hi everyone, I'm Juliana Carver. Thank you for praying for me. I hope cancer never comes back, ever. So thank you very much. Keep the prayers up. Thank you. On August 30th, 2012, she said this. She said, Hi, my name is Juliana. I'm sorry. She said, Hi, my name is Juliana, and I've been through some stuff. I don't really know some other people out there, but if you're having a hard time, you can get through it. If I can get through it, then you can get through it, and you know you can.
So, hi, my name is Juliana Carver, and I've been through some stuff, and I don't really know some people out there, but you may have it. So if you're having a hard time, you can get through it. Because if I can get through it, then you can. And you know you can.
This is a little girl who's encouraging so many other people. On September 8th, 2012, I asked Juliana, I said, what are some characteristics of a champion? She thought about it for a minute. She says, don't complain, be brave, and have courage. Don't complain, be brave, and have courage. On September 19th, 2012, while being treated for cancer for the third time, excuse me, she said, Hi, everybody. I'm Juliana Carver. I'd like to thank all of you for helping me get through cancer for the third time. And your prayers mean a lot to me and my family. It's a bit hard going through it, cancer at this age. And it's hard for me and my family. So thank you so much for praying. I love you all. And then she reached out to give all of her fans a big virtual hug.
Hi everybody, I'm Juliana Carver. I would just like to thank all of you for helping me get through cancer for the third time. And your prayers mean a lot to me and my family. And it's a bit hard going through it, cancer, everything at this age, and it's hard for me and my family. So thank you so much for praying. I love you all.
On September 2012, I took several of the kids to Christmas Tree Park, which is in Manchester, Maryland. And she was still in treatment, and there was a part of the park where it has a little pond, which is down a hill. It was pretty warm that day, and we had gone to the playground, and then below that was this pond. So we were walking back up the hill, and I saw how Juliana was getting tired. And I offered to pick her up on my back, like I've done dozens and dozens of times over the years, because she would get out of breath due to being in treatment. And she refused. So she responded, she looked at me and said, no hill is going to push me down. No hill is going to push me down. So she just paused and rested, caught her breath, and kept going a bit more. And then after that, I carried her the rest of the way. This is the kind of courage that this little girl has. I'm in the present tense. I don't ever want to use her name in a past tense. Maybe I have in other updates. Correct me, please. She is, not she was. In February of 2013, she said, I always wanted to be a cook. I always wanted to be a cook. Now, during the time between when she was done getting treatment for fighting cancer for the third time, we found out about this organization. There's been actually a few organizations have been very kind to us, and she, in like mid 2013, she started getting maintenance chemo while still getting radiation treatments to her chest, which is where the cancer was at the time. Again, I'm reading my notes. So between September 2013 and November 13, she continued to get oral chemo that uh, was intermingled with other things to try to keep her clear. In March, actually on March 30th, 2013, she said, "If there's something in your way, move it." In fact, I have many of her quotes around my office. Here's the quote: "If there's something in your way, move it." I keep that around a lot. She still inspires me, and I know a lot of you as well. In April of 2013, when she was still in treatment for fighting cancer for the third time, she messaged me. She texted me. She said, "Hi, it's Julie. I'm so happy we're going home today. I can't believe it, but we have to get blood and platelets." That was on April 18th, 2013. Again, I've gone through videos a lot to try to pull her words out. I've got a lot more to do that I haven't done yet, especially prior to like 2012. On July 24th, 2013, she said, "I try to think about the positive and not the negative, and you can too." She said, "Think positive." In October of 2013, September 2013, October 2013, we were invited to go and visit Give Kids the World in Florida. It's like a Disney-sponsored organization. Good people run it. Fantastic organization. Again, Give Kids the World. And one night we were out fishing. Tim and Christina and Julie were fishing, and they weren't catching any fish. And Tim is a great coach, and he adores Juliana, and he was trying to help her catch the fish. It was getting darker and darker and darker out. And Tammy's like, my wife's like, "Are you done yet? It's getting kind of late." So Juliana looks over to her and says, "I'm not a giver-upper." And that quote, that saying, has gone around the world multiple times just from her trying to catch a fish. And by the way, moments after that, she caught a fish because she's not a giver-upper. And amazing little girl, I'll tell you that. So fast forward a bit, and we found out let me get my dates right. Oh, I noticed in February, March 2014 that her right eye was starting to droop. I've taken thousands of photographs of our kids over the years, and I noticed that her right eye was starting to droop quite a bit. So I didn't have a good feeling about that. So we insisted on scans. Long story short, we found out that Juliana had cancer in her right eye orbit. So now this is the fourth time. This is now March 2014. So she had an operation to get as much of the tumor out of her eye orbit as possible. And then she received 25 radiation treatments and chemo and all that to get as much of that other remaining disease out as much as possible. She said in April of 2014, when she was just starting cancer treatments for the fourth time, she said, "I hate chemo. It makes me feel all blah and not eating." The following, like 2 days after that, she was talking about her dog, Maddie, and she says she's the best puppy you'll ever find. She's the best puppy you'll ever find. In July 2014, we were going to, thankfully, to leave in tomorrow. we were going to go back to the ocean, and she says, I quote, "I can't wait to sit and let the waves hit my feet and legs." Again, I can't wait to sit and let the waves hit my feet and legs. On July 1st, 2014, again, she's fighting cancer for the fourth time. She said she videoed this for us and for a lot of folks who were watching at the time. She said, quote, "I know some of you are going through some struggles, and I've been going through some struggles for a few years now. I want to tell you that you can do it no matter what."
Hi, I'm Juliana, Carver. I know some of you are going through some struggles, and I've been going through some struggles for a few years now. I just want to tell you that you can do it, no matter what.
Say it again. "I know some of you are going through some struggles, and I've been going through some struggles for a few years now. I just wanted to tell you that you can do it no matter what." Think about this. She's fighting cancer for the fourth time, and she's still willing to encourage other people who are going through or their difficulties and their struggles. On July 30th, we were at the beach, and she said, "I wish we could be here forever and ever and ever." Her favorite place on the planet was at a beach. She loves, loves, loves the beach. In January of 2015, Juliana got hundreds of blood transfusions and platelet transfusions over the years because the chemo treatments impacted that a lot. So I asked her to explain to her fans what it feels like when you need blood. She said, quote, "It feels like you're running for an hour. You feel exhausted." She got a lot of transfusions, thankfully, to many, many donors who, I'm assuming in the region or across the country, who donated blood. Thank you very much. In March, she gave a speech before March of 2015. She gave a speech before about 700 Giant Food employees. And part of what she shared was this, quote, "Over the last 8 years, I've relapsed 3 times and gone through chemotherapy and radiation 4 different times. I remember when I found out I had relapsed for the first time. This was March of 2011. After crying for a few moments, I dried my eyes and said, well, at least I know what to do and to get rid of it again." She then went on to say, "I would tell other kids with cancer that if I can do it, you can do it. You just can't be a giver-upper." This is, again, a little girl. She said in May 2015, she said, "I think I got to try my hardest, and eventually the cancer will go away and possibly, hopefully, get better. Better and easier. And it has maybe less pills, less going to the doctors." Okay, this is WDAD here, interviewing Juliana Carver. Juliana, you've been through some very interesting situations over the last few years.
Yep.
And the world is wondering how you overcome all these struggles that you've been overcoming.
It's not easy, obviously. But I just think I just gotta try my hardest, and eventually it'll go away and possibly, hopefully, get better. Better and easier. And it has. Less pills, less going to the doctors.
Tell me about all the people around the world that have been praying for you for so many years. Well, what do you think about them?
They're nice. They send me gifts and cards to cheer me up. And I think it's really nice.
Aww. And tell me about your little dog there. What is her name again?
Maddie.
Oh, right, Maddie. Can you tell us a little bit about her and how you were able to find her?
Well, we were looking for a puppy dog when I got cancer the
second time.
Second, yes. And then...
No, third time. Third time.
It's very confusing.
Right.
Yep. And we called, and then we were looking at 2 dogs. One was named Boomer, I forget the other one's name. But they were both taken. And then they said if we find anything, we would call you back. And they did the next day. And they said they found this little Shih Tzu on the road. And they will bring her in and see if we can see her. So, on a Friday, after I was out of the hospital, we went to the SPCA and found Maddie. And we adopted her. And we love her ever since. Mwah.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. This is John Carver from WDAD right here in Manchester, Maryland. Thank you for watching our program.
Juliana's very, very focused. She really was determined, is determined to beat cancer. On May 15th, 2015, I was talking with Juliana before she went to bed. And I told her, I wish all this cancer would have never happened. She said, I know. In June 2015, she said, you got to find another way around your problem. Got to find another way around your problem. In July 2015, we found out that the cancer came back for the fifth time. The fifth time. Get my notes right here. She received more rounds of chemo between July and October 2015. And then radiation treatments, among other things. She beat it that's when in July 2015 she said that whining is for babies. Because I think if the context was right, I think I asked her all the time. I said, why didn't you ever complain about going through all this stuff? She goes, Daddy, whining is for babies. You know, for you and I going through a fraction of what other people have gone through, and we whine and complain about stuff. And she said, whining is for babies. So she went through a lot of treatments there. In August, on August 2nd, 2015, she tweeted on her Twitter account, I'm addicted to hot chocolate. So even going through her stuff, she was still able to be a normal little girl. At least that was her goal. On August 7th, 2015, she reported this for her fans. August 7th, 2015, she said, Hi everybody, Juliana Carver here. I just wanted to update you again. I've been battling cancer for 8 years now. Really hard. Fifth time. Since we started, it's been really hard because everything's so stressful with tumors, all the pain, all the hospital stuff. It's really hard, but with family and friends by your side and people who care about you, it really helps. Right now, just taking it easy. Thank you for all your prayers. They mean a lot to me and my family. I really need them, so thank you. This is August 2015.
Hi everyone, Juliana Carver here. I just want to update you again. I've been battling cancer for 8 years now. Really hard this time. It's just, since we started, it's been really hard because everything's just so stressful with tumors, all the pain in the hospital and stuff. It's just really hard, but with family and friends by your side and people who care about you, it really helps. And yeah, so right now, just taking it easy, stuff like that. It's just really crazy. Just thank you for all your prayers. They mean a lot to me and my family, and I really need them. So thank you.
On August 17th, 2015, she said, don't complain about something you can fix. If you can fix it, fix it. Again, don't complain about something you can fix. If you can fix it, then fix it. This is a little girl fighting cancer for the 5th time. Later in November of 2015, her mom and her were fixing her making chocolate chip cookies. She tweeted, "The best cookie ever, chocolate chip. Love chocolate chip cookies." On September 25th, 2015, so back up a couple of months, she said, "Me and Mom stick together like peanut butter and jelly. Me and Mom stick together like peanut butter and jelly." Tammy never left Juliana's side through years of treatment. Tammy was right there by her side, confirming the medicine, the chemo, the radiation. I mean, Tammy's a science whiz. She knows her stuff. She was on it big time. On December 3rd, 2015, Juliana said, you should never give up because you can fight it no matter what." Again, you should never give up because you can fight it no matter what. It's a crazy journey. Expect the unexpected. So we found out at the end of December 2015 that the cancer came back again. Now, this is the 6th time that the cancer came back. It was near a right rib in the back of Juliana. So she received 11 more radiation treatments to that section. Got rid of it. Now, as you can tell, it's coming back faster and faster, right? So in February, let me back up. On January 8th, 2016, she said, "I always worry about nothing." This was talking about she was at the hospital and going to get another something done. I can't remember what it was. And she said later that night, she said, "That's what annoys me so much. I always get myself all worked up about the little things. So I always tell myself I worry about nothing. I worry about nothing."
Hi everyone, it's Juliana Carver. I just wanted to update you on how today went. We got home a few hours ago from the biopsy. I just wanted to tell you how it went. Behind the scenes, I guess. So all this week I've been worrying about it because they've been saying that I was going to get local anesthesia instead of regular. So they were going to keep me awake for it. And I was like, I don't want to be awake because then I'll be feeling it and stuff. And they're like, no, they'll give you a needle and numb it. I'm like, but I'll feel the needle. And I've been worrying about that the entire time. And then when it finally came to that, it was just a little poke. And then I was like, did I really worry this whole week about a little prick? And then that's what annoys me so much when I do these kind of things. I always get myself all worked up about the little things. And then it doesn't hurt as bad. So I always tell myself I worry about nothing. So that was pretty much it. Bye.
There's a little girl now who's fighting cancer for the 6th time. She always worries about nothing. I wouldn't call that nothing. So in February, on February 10th, 2016, we found out. Now, prior to that, we've heard that she could maybe qualify for a bone marrow transplant, but we had to find a relative that could be the donor. So we had Christina tested, and she was not a match because we found out that she's half sister to Julie. Not full, was it the same mother, not the same father. So we had to find Juliana's birth mother. It's a long story behind that, but we were able to find her, and she was willing to fly to the United States to donate some of her bone marrow to hope. The goal was to cure Julie. So now we're up to February 2016. So just days before Juliana's birth mother was to fly into the United States, we found out that Julia had cancer for the 7th time that would disqualify her for the bone marrow transplant because you have to be cancer free to get the transplant. So I remember she was sitting on Juliana was sitting on her mom's lap when we found out that she had cancer for the seventh time, and Juliana just cried. She said we were so close, we were so close. So Irina, the birth mother, flew in, and thankfully that the hospital was able to freeze Irina's bone marrow, some of it, for the transplant. So we had to get Juliana through the treatments for her to be able to get the bone marrow transplant. So during this time, Juliana was going through treatments. Excuse me. Sorry, guys. So we got to, I think it was the end of April, and of 2016, and we were able to do the bone marrow transplant. And the effects of the transplant were horrific. Not at all what we expected, not at all what we were told. Her stomach was bleeding, and Tammy would tell the doctors, you got to stop this certain medication, because she knows science way better than I do, that this was causing the problems in her stomach, so her stomach wouldn't heal, so she couldn't eat. So Juliana, that is, so she kept dropping weight, and she was bleeding. It was horrible. Doctors wouldn't listen to us for weeks and weeks and weeks. Now we're talking the summer of 2016. So she's still going through that. She got dozens and dozens of transfusions during that 3 or 4 month period of time. And it wasn't getting any easier. So we found out in September of 2016 that the bone marrow transplant failed and she had cancer for the 8th time. I remember that day when the doctor walked into the hospital room. Juliana got up from her bed and walked into the bathroom, and I just lost it when I found out. And then she came out of the bathroom and got back in bed, and I just couldn't keep it together. I tried so hard, and I laid down on her stomach and her chest, and I just sobbed. I said, I'm so sorry. She said, it's understandable, because she saw me sobbing my eyes out, because we thought for sure the transplant was going to help save her life, you know. And then just a few weeks after that, she started her health started tanking so bad. In October 8th, 2016, actually October 7th of that year, we had to rush her to the hospital because she couldn't breathe. Excuse me. Very well. And they had to put a breathing tube down her throat. We were told that when they did that, her heart was going to stop, and it did. They brought her back. So we were in the hospital room in PICU with her, and Tammy leaned down to talk to Juliana. And just before that happened, actually, Tammy whispered to her in the room. Tammy said, quote, they're going to do a procedure to help you breathe better. I love you. It's going to be okay. Fight for me, Tammy said to Julie. And Juliana nodded yes, because she couldn't talk very much. So a few days later, I'm sorry guys, a few days after that, she still had the breathing tube in her throat. And my mom taught me how to read lips okay when I was little. So I read her lips, even with the tube in her mouth. She says, I want to get, this is Juliana saying this. She couldn't speak the words, but I read her lips. She said, I want to get better. When can I go home? This is October 11th, 2016. On October 16th of that year, just a few days after that, she says, I wish this cancer would go away. This is now the tube is out of her throat by then. So on October 18th, I asked her, I said, Julie, how are you getting through this? She said these words. She said, mind you, she's fighting cancer now for the 8th time. She said, stay positive. Don't think about the negative. When you think about the negative, it just makes things worse. This is October 18th, 2016. She was all plugged up with stuff, attached to stuff. On October 18th, the same day, she had this thing on her arm. She goes, I'm locked and loaded. Don't mess with me. I'm a tough cookie.
So Juliana told the doctors, and we told the doctors and the nurses that what? You needed what?
Blood.
She needed more blood. So Juliana's received over the years more than a couple hundred transfusions. So guess what they just brought in for her? More blood.
What's type is it?
It's B negative. B negative blood. So
Wasn't my blood supposed to change?
Tammy, would you address that? Her blood was supposed to change her blood type, right?
It has. It's now B negative. It used to be B positive. Look at what they're giving her.
I know, I see it. So her blood before the
Blood
transplant
type.
was B positive. Now it's B negative after the transplant. Isn't that cool?
It's a little weird.
A little weird, huh?
But totally changed.
Yeah.
So weird.
So Juliana knows her body enough to know when she needs a transfusion, right?
I was 8 times. 4. Well, feels like I can't wait another day.
Right.
I'm too tired.
Yeah.
I'm out of breath.
So the blood will make a difference. Yep.
And if we wait till tomorrow, it'll probably be down to like 7.4.
Right.
And I'll be doing even worse.
Yes.
And we don't want that.
No, not at all.
Because if I feel bad, then we have to stay.
Right. So later this afternoon, I brought some of your gifts and cards and stuff. That's about half of them that we have at the house. So she'll be opening those up here in a couple hours or so.
When the blood's done.
Right, when the blood's done.
It takes about 2 hours.
Again?
The blood usually takes 2 hours.
Right. There you go.
And they have to check the blood pressure every half an hour.
Right. And then,
So I'm not having any allergic reactions.
right. Now earlier you showed me something about that arm. What did you show me about that powerful arm you've got there?
I got locked and loaded.
Locked and loaded, huh? I love it.
Don't mess with me.
You're funny.
Tough cookie.
You're awesome. All right, guys. We'll talk to you soon.
Yep.
See ya.
Bye. Thank you for
Again, I'm locked and loaded. Don't mess with me. I'm a tough cookie. Fighting cancer for the 8th time. On October 20th, she was getting stronger. And Tammy, this is the day before she was supposed to be released from the hospital to come back the following Wednesday. She was going to be released on a Friday to come back Wednesday to start new treatments again to fight cancer for the 8th time. Now, mind you, she was back in PICU again in early October because of an infection in her lung, in addition to fighting cancer for the 8th time. That's what put her there. So on October 20th, Tammy, my wife, told Julie that that weekend we're going to go pick some pumpkins because it's October. And we'll get some apple cider. That's what we've done as a family for years. So Juliana said, apple cider, so good. Apple cider, so good. So now October 21st comes and the hospital releases Juliana. And she's very groggy. And we were told that the grogginess is from the pain meds. So I mean, she couldn't even hold her head up. It was, if you were following us at that time, you saw that. And then we brought her home on the 21st of October 2016, and she tanked. They had set us up for hospice, just to help us at home. Not that she was dying. They never told us that she was dying. They said the hospice was going to help us at home while she's getting new treatment. And with children, that's how that's done, from what I'm told by several people. Well, we called hospice. Nobody came. If memory serves, the nurse, in quotes, that was supposed to help us was not feeling well, and she didn't want to drive that far. Why don't you get another nurse? I mean, this is a big organization. Gilchrist, if you want to know the name, that's who it was. They did not show up. Tammy frantically called because Juliana was tanking. She was getting worse and worse and worse. And then the morning of October 24th, 2016, I looked over to my right, and my little girl was gone at 14 years old. That's something that I can't begin to describe to you unless you've lost a child. Then you understand. I could probably talk a lot more about that, but I won't. So that's kind of like the summary, if you will, of a real small snippet of what happened with Julie. So just wanted to share that with y'all. I thought some of you have asked some questions about that and her treatment, so I just wanted to put this together for you here today. I love you guys a lot. Thanks for following this page still, as I'm trying to keep Juliana alive, if you will, with sharing her story and her memories to hopefully inspire a lot of other people around the world that pediatric cancer is evil and it rips families apart in ways that I cannot begin to describe to you. I love you guys a lot, more than you know. I really do. Thanks for watching.
Hi, my name is Juliana Carver. Please like my page on Facebook called Angels for Juliana. You didn't stop. Hi, I'm Juliana Carver, and I just wanted to thank all of you out there for praying for me and my family, because I've been going through so much in the past 9 years, and we've just got a transplant a while ago, and we just couldn't have made it this far without you. So your prayers really help and mean a lot. So thank you so much for praying for me. It means a lot.